gold runs Wizard101, whether you want pets, mounts, or a house to flex in, you'll need it. Today I'll show you the beginner roadmap starting with gold, then pets, mounts, housing, and eventually farming couch potatoes for the long game. There are many ways to get gold in Wizard101, some being more tedious than others, but I'll show you the best way to get gold as a new player. So starting off, the best way to get gold is going to be questing. While questing, you'll get lots of gear drops that you can sell at the bazaar, as well as quick sell. But if questing still isn't enough, then what you can do is going to be farming bosses that drop spellments. For example, bosses like Bitnarini, Crocopatra, and many more drop spellmented TCs that will sell for more than 200 gold, as well as dropping auctionable gear and getting spellments passively. This is going to be one of the most beginner-friendly methods to get gold. Another option is going to be collecting reagents. Reagents are very commonly found around the spiral, and some are going to be very quick gold grabs. In Wizard City, you can often find flax, frosted flax, and cattail, which sell for around 30 to 150 gold depending on what you're selling. While this is not always the most optimal, it is a passive way of getting gold, because while questing you can pick up these items that are often sought out reagents. The third best option for getting gold at a low level is going to be fishing. You unlock fishing at level 7 and it's going to be the best way to get gold. The reason this is going to be the best way to get gold is due to the amount of places you can fish. For example, you can fish in the commons or go to the house tours to find specialty fish that sell for more gold, as well as the possibility of getting cosmetic gear depending on where you fish. These fish that you sell can go from anywhere from 500 gold to 4,000 on just one fish. The only downside to fishing is that it does cost energy, which you will need for pet training and gardening, so due to the use of energy, I don't know if I would recommend this until you have made a decent pet. Another option for gold is going to be gardening. Gardening is going to be one of the most important things to do in Wizard101. You'll unlock gardening at level 12 and also get a basic walkthrough of how gardening works in Golem Court. The reason gardening is good for gold is due to almost every plant giving gold, TCs, reagents, and housing items when harvesting. Seeds like couch potatoes and eagle magnet peas also give you mega snacks for pet training, as well as valuable TCs, gold, and are easily the best seeds to try and get once you hit rank 3 gardening. The only problem with gardening again is going to be the energy use and not getting an instant gold reward. Now that you have gold, it's time to focus on a pet. Having a good pet is going to make questing a much easier task due to the power boost you'll get from the pet. The optimal pet will depend on your school though. The pets I would recommend for your school would be depending on what your school lacks. For example, Death and Life don't get attack all card until almost level 50, so I'd recommend looking for a pet that gives you an early game AoE. For schools that get an AoE early into the game, I'd recommend a pet that gives utility cards like an enchanted armament or a pet that gives another blade for your school. Ice, for example, though, does not get a blade until almost level 40, so I would recommend going for a pet that does get the blade. The making is that it's very RNG. Because of this, you're going to want to use your snacks carefully, as well as your gold. The pet I would go for no matter the school is double damage, double universal res, and mighty, or triple damage, double res. To do this, the way I'd recommend making a pet would be to find the pet you want from the kiosk and bring it to adult and then rehatch. I would not recommend bringing a pet up past adult until you've made a base pet with almost perfect stats. A base pet would be the pet body you want with 2 talents that you want and good stats. Once you have a base pet, use that pet to hatch again and bring that pet up to ancient as long as it has all 3 talents you want. From there on out, I'd only use that ancient pet to hatch. Now that you have the pet you want, you're going to be flying through the worlds, but walking can still be slow and sometimes the teleporters won't get you exactly where you want to be. Luckily for you, we went over the Wiz to get gold and we can buy a mount. Mounts can be bought from the crown store with gold, or alternatively you can farm certain bosses for mounts. Mounts from the crown shop go anywhere from 50,000 gold to 90, but they all have the same speed, just different appearances, so choose whichever you think is the coolest. Alternatively, you can also farm bosses for mounts if you want a cool looking mount. Some of these mounts can be farmed from key bosses like Ra in Crocotopia and the Temple Phantom in Hollow Mountain. While these are a free alternative to buying mount, it does require wooden keys and the drops are not guaranteed. Another option is the Lost Pages event and crafting. The Lost Pages event happens a couple times throughout the year, so you could be waiting a while. If either of those options don't entice you, crafting is an option. If you go to Aquila, you can craft school mounts using reagents you picked up while questing throughout the spiral. The final thing we're going to go over is gardening. We slightly went over gardening earlier when talking about gold, but it also has other useful benefits. The main benefit is going to be mega snacks and reagents. While you can do certain dungeons and bosses that drop mega snacks, it's not always as time effective as gardening. So once you've hit level 3 gardening, you can start planting couch potatoes. You might have been able to pick some up while questing, but if you haven't, one of the best spots for getting them is in Grizzleheim. If you go into Salvestard Pass and go to the Troubled Warriors, you'll often find people here farming. Now that you have some couch potatoes and gold, go ahead and buy the Red Barn Farm. The Red Barn Farm can be bought with gold from the Crown Shop and is the best free option for gardening. The Red Barn Farm gives almost every plant a 15% increase to growing speed. Once you pair that with some of the other likes, such as the Tropical Garden Gnome, Sandwich Station, and Litter, you can get a 70% increase to your growing speed. When gardening though, it is important to see what the seed dislikes. For example, couch potatoes get a negative 25% growing speed if the stinkweed plant is near it, so it is always important to check what your seeds like and dislike. Now that we've gone over these topics, hopefully you have a better understanding and learned something. And if there is something that you'd be more interested in, drop a comment and I can go in depth in another video. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed and feel free to like, comment, and subscribe and follow me on Twitch where I'm doing a bunch of walkthroughs using these tips and experiencing what it's like to be a new player in 2025.